The war may be raging outside, but inside Downton Abbey, another kind of battle brews, one of power, pride, and passion. From mischievous pranks to forbidden romances, this episode is a whirlwind of emotion where everyone seems caught between duty and desire. The Abbey-transformed Downton is no longer the serene estate it once was. The Crawley family home has been converted into a convalescent hospital for injured officers. Convalescence becomes the word of the hour, repeated so often it might as well echo in the halls. These men aren't dying, but they aren't ready to go home either. They're suspended in a strange middle ground between survival and normal life. That limbo fuels tension everywhere. The question of who's in charge sparks the first real battle of the episode. Lady Isobel Crawley insists on running the hospital because she understands the medical needs, but Cora feels her authority as lady of the house slipping away. The struggle isn't just about leadership, it's about purpose. Both women need to feel essential, and neither is willing to surrender control. Isobel, efficient as ever, throws herself into the work. Cora, meanwhile, begins to assert her own influence, guided by the manipulative O'Brien, who quietly schemes to advance Thomas's position. Behind every polite smile, there's a calculation. Power shifts like the tides at Downton, Branson's fire and Ireland's shadow. Then, there's Branson, the fiery Irish chauffeur whose political passion burns hotter than his love for Sybil. He's a man with plans and principles, but he's also impulsive. His heart beats for Ireland's independence, and though the Crawleys don't grasp the depth of that struggle, the show lets the tension simmer. Branson's homeland is already restless. The Easter Rising of 1916 still haunts him, and the conflict between Ireland and Britain feels personal. Branson dreams of making a stand, of saying no to the Empire's war, but life has other plans. His hopes of being a conscientious objector crumble when a medical exam reveals a heart murmur. Ironically, he's too unfit to refuse fighting. Denied his rebellion, he searches for another way to be heard. And when a high-ranking general visits Downton, Branson seizes the chance. His idea? A prank, dumping slop on the general to protest British arrogance. It's foolish, reckless, and so very Branson. When Anna discovers his confession letter moments before the act, chaos erupts downstairs. Servants race to stop him before he ruins everything. What could have been a scandal ends as near comedy, a thwarted plan, a pot of soup spared, and a household breathing again. The soldiers' ghosts amid the laughter and gossip, one storyline darkens the mood. Lang, the valet traumatized by the front, suffers night terrors that shake the house. His screams echo through the corridors as he relives the trenches in his sleep. The war might be miles away, but through Lang we see how it follows men home. O'Brien, surprisingly tender, comforts him, a rare glimpse of humanity from a woman usually driven by spite. Even Carson, ever the stoic butler, shows compassion when Lang finally decides to leave. "We failed you," Carson says softly, acknowledging the quiet tragedy of a man broken by duty. It's one of the few moments where the walls of class and decorum crumble, Daisy's dilemma and the weight of kindness. Meanwhile, in the kitchens, Daisy faces her own moral test. Sweet, naive, and hopelessly unsure of herself, she finds that William, the kind footman, is heading to the front. He's in love, certain she feels the same. Mrs. Patmore, the sharp-tongued cook with a soft heart, insists Daisy say yes when William proposes, even if it's a lie. "Let him go with hope," she warns. "It might keep him alive." Daisy's honesty wars with her conscience. She doesn't love him, but how can she deny a man about to march into the unknown? The advice feels cruel yet true. Sometimes compassion demands deception. By the end, Daisy gives in, and William leaves believing he's engaged to the girl of his dreams. It's a small kindness that carries enormous weight. Ethel's ambition. If Daisy's heart is tangled in guilt, Ethel's is consumed by ambition. She's drawn to the wounded soldiers for all the wrong reasons. Status, charm, perhaps the thrill of danger. Among the convalescents, she flirts boldly, catching the attention of a major. For her, the war isn't tragedy. It's opportunity. But in Downton's moral order, that kind of hunger doesn't go unnoticed. Mrs. Hughes's sharp eyes catch every stolen glance. Her warning, "Go back to work," cuts through the flirtation like a slap. Ethel, of course, doesn't listen. Bates and Anna, love against circumstance. Outside the Abbey's chaos, another story unfolds quietly but painfully. Anna finally sees Bates again, now living in a nearby town and working at a pub. He's trying to divorce his wife Vera, whose cruelty has shadowed him since his first appearance. But freedom in Edwardian England isn't simple. Proof of adultery, scandal, and public shame all are required to end a marriage. Anna's love is steadfast. She's ready to sacrifice reputation and propriety to be with him. "I'll be your mistress," she pleads, desperate. Bates refuses, believing she deserves more. It's a heartbreak wrapped in dignity. Their love is real, but the world won't let it breathe. Lady Mary, ever the pragmatic romantic, steps in to help. She contacts her suitor, Sir Richard Carlisle, a man with powerful connections in the press. Through him, she discovers where Bates is hiding. And though her motives aren't purely noble, it's one of the few times Mary acts out of kindness rather than calculation. Matthew and Lavinia's secret. Speaking of Mary, her complicated bond with Matthew continues to evolve. Now engaged to Lavinia Swire, Matthew seems happy, but Mary's presence lingers in every conversation. Lavinia isn't just a pretty face. She carries a scandalous past. Years ago, she uncovered insider trading during the Marconi affair and leaked the evidence to Sir Richard Carlisle, erasing her father's debt in exchange. It was a morally gray act, illegal, yet born of loyalty and desperation. Mary, hearing the story, is torn between admiration and jealousy. Lavinia did something Mary herself might have done, used wit and daring to protect family. For the first time, Mary sees Lavinia not as a rival, but as her mirror. Still, the chemistry between Mary and Matthew hums under every polite word. You can feel it, the love neither dares to name, Edith's redemption. Then there's Edith, the often overlooked middle Crawley sister. After seasons of bitterness and rivalry, she finally finds purpose. Working with the soldiers, she brings warmth to their recovery, writing letters, listening to stories, even offering small gestures of care. When the men toast her at dinner, calling her their comfort, it's the first time she's seen not as the plain one, but as someone with heart. Edith's transformation is quiet but powerful. In a house filled with ego and ambition, she becomes the soul of empathy. For once, she isn't chasing love or approval, she's simply doing good. And that change begins to heal her own wounds. The many faces of war. By the episode's end, Downton feels like a reflection of the war itself. Messy, unpredictable, and full of contradictions. The upstairs family struggles with control, the servants wrestle with loyalty and love, and the soldiers bring their pain into every corner of the house. Even Cora, often passive, starts showing ambition again. O'Brien's manipulations push her to take command, unwittingly setting her against Isobel. Thomas, ever the opportunist, benefits most, suddenly promoted and preening in authority he never earned. His smugness is almost comical, but it reveals how war reshuffles social order. Titles mean less now. Power comes to those who seize it. Meanwhile, Robert Crawley clings to civility, reading his newspaper while chaos unfolds around him. But his moment of grace comes when he comforts Lang, the trembling valet. In that touch, nobleman to servant, the rigid class divide softens. For a fleeting second, compassion triumphs over hierarchy. Threads of change, every storyline this episode feeds one theme. Change is inevitable, but it rarely feels fair. Branson's ideals are crushed by circumstance. Daisy learns that kindness sometimes requires deceit. Anna and Bates fight for love that propriety denies. Edith discovers strength in compassion. Even Mary, the Ice Queen of Downton, begins to thaw. Each character carries the scars of war, even if they've never seen the trenches. The Abbey itself, once a symbol of old-world grace, now hums with the chaos of modern life. Nurses rushing through marble halls, officers laughing where lords once dined, and whispers of rebellion carried by an Irish chauffeur. A final reflection as the soldiers depart and the house quiets. The sense of transformation lingers. The Crawleys and their staff stand on the edge of a new world. one that will test their loyalties and redefine their identities. This episode captures the essence of Downton Abbey at its best: history and humanity colliding under one roof. It reminds us that change, whether born of love, ambition, or loss, comes for everyone, no matter how grand their home or how humble their station. War reshapes nations, but at Downton, it reshapes hearts.